Hello and welcome to the Salient demo series. This is our February 2024 edition. Thank you for joining. Before we get too far in, just a few housekeeping notes. If you're having issues accessing the audio portion, there's a teleconference number. The number and access code are listed here. I'm not going to read that out. What you're going to notice is since this is a webinar, once you connect in, your microphone is going to be muted, but we do want to make this interactive. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, we strongly encourage you to type it into the chat box. You'll find that ideally or hopefully in the top left of your screen. We're going to try to hold all the Q&A until the end so that we can get through the material and content and have some flow. And if there's any Q&A that we can't address while on this webinar at the very end, we will certainly follow up afterwards via email. This webinar is being recorded and we'll publish it on our website. So if you want to distribute or catch up later, that's always an option. And last but not least, 2 lucky people today are going to have a chance to win a $100 gift card. So if you are tuned in and make it through to the end of the presentation, we will draw 2 lucky winners, follow up with them over email afterwards for a $100 gift card. So with that, we'd like to kind of dive in a little bit to just who we are. You might be very familiar with Salient, or this might be the first time you're tuning into a Salient demo series. We'd like to start with a very brief introduction to our company and to our products. We're a leading video management software provider. And over the past few years, we've developed a cloud product to help mid-market and enterprises transition into cloud adoption. Our open cloud video data platform provides our customers with the foundation to customize their solution while leveraging all their existing infrastructure, whether that's cameras, servers, everything else, access control. We really take pride in empowering our customers to view, record, and use their video data to drive their business operations with actionable insights while going beyond safety and security needs. And in terms of why Salient is chosen in the marketplace, we thought it would be helpful to cover this as well, given that there are so many video solutions out in the marketplace today. Really, we think of ourselves as a platform that's capable of meeting our customers' needs today, but which is especially good at helping them invest in their future, so not handcuff their future. And a lot of this comes down to Salient's open architecture, the ability to leverage any camera, access control, analytic technology, seamlessly fit into almost any infrastructure, networking, hardware, storage solution. So that's a huge part of why people choose Salient, a key differentiator. We also have enterprise-grade scalability, meaning you can start small with us and have confidence that you can grow to thousands, tens of thousands of cameras. Our largest deployments are nearing, many tens of thousands of deployments, 40, 50,000 channels. We also have a very competitive cost of ownership. We have some market-leading bandwidth and client responsiveness, some of which we'll highlight today. And we strongly believe foundationally that our success comes from the success of our end users and our integrators. So these are some of the things that really set us apart in the marketplace. In terms of the offerings that we have, we'll talk about that here in a minute, because what we're going to do is we're going to first start with an overview of the products, do a brief demonstration of our video management software, our cloud services, and our analytics. And then we're going to wrap up by doing a highlight of our latest release. This is the Q4 2023 release, came out December, just a few months ago, with CompleteView 7.4, and there are a couple highlights there. We'll handle Q&A again at the very end, but please, if you have questions, find that chat box, put your question in, we'll be monitoring. So before we get into a demonstration of each of these, it helps to understand Salient's portfolio. We have a VMS platform called CompleteView. Again, maybe many of you are already familiar with it, but we'll do some quick highlights there. We, over the last year, introduced a set of cloud services. These layer on top of the CompleteView VMS and fundamentally are all about a hybrid cloud offering that allows you to extend the capabilities of your VMS. So it's all about remote management, remote access, visibility into the assets of your deployment, making it easy for both integrators and end users. We also, in the last year, introduced a video analytics offering. This is a resale offering and we've partnered very closely with leading technology provider Iron on this, integrated the technology deeply into our platform. But we'll be doing a demonstration of that here today as well, the Salient Video AI video analytics. And last but not least, the one thing that we're not going to be demonstrating today, it is behind the scenes enabling and empowering all of this, but we have hardware that supports our video solution, that supports our analytics solution as well. And so to kick off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand off to Chris Garner, one of our product managers responsible for our VMS. Chris, why don't you give us an overview of CompleteView and give us a nice overview demonstration of the product as well.
Sure. Thanks, Andre. So as many of us know, the primary goal of a VMS is to record the video and then make it available for live view, search, playback, and export. And our operators are tasked with going and doing those functions of live view, search, playback, and export. So we need to make that as easy for them to do as possible. So one of the ways we can do that is by making a client that is very responsive and allows them to do those tasks quickly, as well as giving them tools that they can go and do those. Maybe or being aware of what is happening in the system. So by having alerts on mapping or being able to show events there in the interface, as well as being able to go and quickly be able to find those events and export those. Outside of the operator experience, we don't want to spend a lot of time administering the system. You want to be able to set it up, get it running. And so having a way to do this all from one central location reduces the time that it takes to go out and touch every device for your administrators, configure, do a bunch of configurations, and then always having to go back and retouch those devices as things change. Cameras get updated, whatever the case may be. We also need to provide the administrator some way to answer critical questions, such as, is my system running? Or do I have cameras down? Am I going to meet my storage retention policies? So providing tools like that will help streamline the administration of the platform itself. And then finally, VMS platforms today don't stand alone. There's countless integrations that are required to give us that rich information that we're looking for as to, are people where they're supposed to be or not supposed to be, who's in the building, is that a person or is that a box, whatever the case may be. So having integrations with our different camera partners or access control systems or even other analytics partners helps bring that complete package to our customers. So let me switch over here and do a quick little demo. So in here, I'm on live view. So one of the things that we talk about is how responsive our interface is. And so we are able to quickly switch between different views. And you can notice how quick that video is to load on each switch of the view. So again, it's really something, a way that our operators can use to work and see what's happening in the system. I'm using the mouse control here, but you can also use the keyboards to do the same things. And if you want to really focus in, you can actually go full screen. And again, by using arrow keys, you can switch between different views and watch how fast that is to load. So for those systems that you have your structure for your views, you can really quickly move from one view to the next to see what's going on. You can also see in the maps here that we have objects that are blinking when there's an event. So you can hover over that and see what's going on at that particular location. We can even add that to a view by double clicking. We can do other things such as select multiple cameras and then view those to see what's going on those particular cameras. Or if I have a map here that allows me to, or that I want to see all the cameras on the map, I can just go and do that and it'll create a view of all the cameras on that map. One of the things that we offer as well with maps is the ability to go in, have both image maps as well as use GIS maps, or in this case, Bing maps. And so we can see the cameras that are on there. Again, we'll get the same alerting as we scroll in and out. They'll collapse in on each other, so we're not cluttering the screen with a bunch of text when you're zoomed too far out. But as you zoom in, those things come in view. And we can even drill into multiple layers here. So going from a GIS map to an image map. So those are some of the different things that we do in terms of live view to make this quick and easy for the operators. But when it comes to playback, one of the things that we've added in 7.4, well, sorry, 7.4, 7.3 previously, is our ability to scroll through the timeline here for multiple cameras and see what's going on there. And one of the neat features we have that I think sets us apart is ability to come in and select the time that you're wanting to export. So here I'm going to select the trim and export. And what this allows me to do is it's going to open a new mode here where it's going to let me pick the segment of time that I want to do. This is pretty typical in a VMSs to be able to select the time periods that you want to export, but we can actually go through and individually trim these. So I can come in here and find an area of video that I'm interested in and export just that specific one. So I'm covering different events here. That's why we have the different colors on the slider bar. And these events or these export times don't have to overlap. And once I do that, I can save this and it'll begin, it'll add these to my export queue, which I can come back in and review to make sure those are relevant clips and then export from there.
So that's what a seamless way to storyboard, Chris. That's awesome. A quick and easy way to go from a scene that you're looking at with multiple cameras to a quick storyboard of trim. That's highly effective.
And with that, Sanjay, I'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Thanks for that demonstration, Chris. I think you hit on a lot of the items that we talked about that set us apart and make us a little bit different. So jumping back in, we'll now switch to talking a little bit about our cloud services. And so quick preface on our cloud services. These are a set of services that layer on top of a CompleteView deployment, whether it's a new or an existing deployment. The only requirement is you got to be on version 7. And what our cloud services do is they enable secure remote video, so access to live and recorded video with total control on who gets access remotely, being able to use any of our existing clients to do this remote connection. So that's one powerful benefit. It's great for whether it's enabling first responders with easy access, enabling even staff that might be remote, being able to quickly respond or acknowledge something that's occurred. It's 3 a.m. and some alarms going off, to be able to pull out your phone securely and remotely connect. Other benefit is managing and monitoring the system remotely. So the ability to manage user and system configuration, manage and monitor the health and performance of the system, and to even push software updates to recorders. Now, the management and monitoring of a system remotely, it's only possible over the desktop client, but nonetheless can be done completely remotely with Salient Cloud Services. And last but not least, we built this with ease of adoption in mind. So the idea is, you don't need to work on complicated firewall rules or changes. You don't need to make any modifications to your existing deployment. And to make the onboarding as easy as possible, we actually have a free tier where you can simply register your deployment. You can adopt the paid services without any disruption. You can fall back to the free tier if you choose not to renew. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at both that free tier, what you get if simply by registering a deployment, and then we're going to look a little bit at just a remote video in our demonstration. And before we do that, let's just talk a little bit about the architecture. So almost every kind of traditional VMS system or deployment out there, effectively you've got some form of a local area. Sometimes this can be on a larger corporate network, but you've got your cameras, your recorders, management capabilities, and you've got your various clients. Now, with Salient Cloud Services, we said it's an overlay. So without disrupting any of the infrastructure or operations of your VMS, what we've done is we've introduced we host and run Salient Cloud Services, and it's possible to register just your management server up to Salient Cloud Services. And this is the free tier where simply by registering, you get access to a set of web dashboards. And we're going to showcase those and kind of how they're useful. And if you want, your journey with Salient Cloud Services can end here. But for those who find value in that remote access, remote management component, it is possible to then sign up for the paid services. And what it'll allow both integrator and end user to do is once you have that paid remote access service, we set up a secure VPN. We allow you to use existing desktop, web, and mobile clients. We work with you to set up a custom white labeled URL so that you can securely connect up. Again, all very standard and important security measures, so that you now have remote access into the system. So this is just a quick graphic on how the system is structured. And so now what we're going to do is actually look at a demonstration. So I've got cloud.salientsys.com pulled up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the end user experience. And when I go ahead and log in, this particular end user has a ton of different deployments, and you'll see each of the deployments here. And the free tier of the system is once I go and register a deployment, which is like a two-step process. I would go to the CompleteView desktop client. I would put in a credential. That's all it takes to register my deployment. And you might be wondering, what's the point of registering a deployment? Well, it's access to this free dashboard where you get insight into each of your deployments that you've registered, version numbers, license counts, server counts, rich details about things like product IDs. We've also extended the information more recently to include stuff like hardware warranty expiration, software maintenance expiration, the warranty tag numbers if we know them, if it's being hosted on Salient hardware especially. So it's a powerful bookkeeping mechanism. I know it can be tough out in the real world, as a large end user or even as an integrator, keeping track of all of these changes. I've certainly been out and seen the number of people handling this, on spreadsheets and whatnot. But this is a fantastic way to make sure that you have accurate information about your system. You can drill down, and there's many more details you can get as well. You'll notice, down to feature keys, port information, whatnot. And you can do that really at the overall deployment level as well. So you can get some details, and it's possible to export all this stuff out as well. So that's one of the key benefits. What's even more exciting is the ability to remotely access the system. So you'll notice some of these deployments are set up with remote access. Some of them aren't. In fact, really briefly, I can have a mix and match of some deployments where I've decided not to sign up for that remote access service, some where I have, and I can even get information about the health. So, there are a few recording systems here that aren't set up for remote access. Gives me something to maybe troubleshoot or work with. Maybe these are new sites that are coming online, and I expect that to be the case. So let's just take a look at the experience when I fire this up. This is me remotely accessing the system over that remote URL. And what you'll find is it's the same experience in a lot of ways that Chris was just highlighting, because we have such consistency between our desktop, web, and mobile experiences. But ta-da, I'm now in the system, and I can do both live and playback. I can pull up all the different views and maps I have access to. And at this point, this becomes effectively like a CompleteView demo. I'm in the CompleteView experience. The real magic is the fact that this URL here is something that both integrator and end user get to customize for their deployment. So that's one of the perks of Salient Cloud Services. So that's a quick overview of how it works, some of the value of the dashboard, and then certainly being able to see remote access. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually hand the mic to Dan Berg, who is our product manager responsible for integrations, camera integrations, technology integrations, including analytics and access control. And he's going to talk through one of our newer offerings, the Salient Video AI Video Analytics. So Dan, tell us a little bit about tell the world a little bit about our analytics offering.
All right. Thank you, Sanjay. So last year we just started to partner with Iron Yun to offer the Video AI Video Analytics to the market. This is a really powerful analytic engine that does detection of people, vehicles, facial, object classification, specialized like weapons detection, fire and smoke detection, You can do like PPE, personal protection equipment validation with the video analytics. Really flexible and really accurate. And these are available now. It is a separate license from your CompleteView channel license, but you can do this as a software only. We're offering the software only, or we are offering it with on, purpose-built Salient appliances. We've got a rack mount server and also a tower version, depending on what you're going to be doing there. Very scalable. You can start with a couple of cameras, all right, a couple of licenses, and then scale that up as needed. And the licenses are portable. Yeah, and that's a very important point there, is that you start with a couple of licenses, you can move those around to different cameras, all right, and do analytics on the cameras you need to do analytics at that time. And that's the real-time analytics, right, doing the processing like that. You can also import video from pretty much any source, all right, if it's a MP4 or AVI, what doesn't matter. That does not require any additional licensing. All right, so for forensic searching on video that hadn't been processed through the analytic engine before, you don't need a license for that. It's really great. NDAA compliant, so it is US based and US support, starting with us. And the speed of the searching is just phenomenal. All right, I'm going to show you that here now. There we go. Let me take over the screen here. All right.
Cool. Looks good.
So,
we can see it.
Awesome. So the video analytic can be used in a couple of ways. This is the live view, as Chris was showing earlier. And in live view, I can actually have the dashboard from the video UI, from the video interface, up as a dashboard. So in the upper right quadrant here, this is the video dashboard showing me alerts coming in, and I can create any number of alert rules. So I've got here a red car. I've got it to alert me every time a red car passes by. You'll see that there. Okay. Also, nice little handy. It shows me I've got this mapped on a GPS map, and it shows me that I've got 6 alerts here, and I can just kind of toggle through them very quickly. But it's also integrated in the fact that it's sending us alerts. So the events pane in the lower right corner here, okay, I'm going to do some filtering here, and it's going to type in video because I've registered all my events that are coming from the video analytics as starting with video, just to make it easier. And I can click on one of these, and up in the upper right, I'm going to switch to the video viewer. And there we see. I've got it set to trigger an event every time somebody walks by my desk. Okay, so you get that real-time alerting from the video analytics coming into CompleteView. Very nice integration there. I can even do, say, I just want to see where the red cars are. Okay, there we go, red vehicle. So you have access very quickly and easily to the events that the video analytics have detected, those objects. All right, now you can also use these in playback. And I'm going to go here to the web view and pull up my video. Okay, and it defaults to the search screen. So I was alerting on red cars, but let's say I want to look and see when there was a blue, how many times blue cars went through. All right, then I can select different cameras that I wanted to search on. I'm going to use all of mine in the system right now. And I can also search on files that I've imported into the system. So I've got a couple of files here that I imported from a different camera that I'm not running the analytics on in real time, but I'm going to search across that footage as well. And was that fast enough for you?
Wow. Yeah, I think it showed up almost, before you finish pressing that button, Dan.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast this is. So you've got good forensic search on here. Again, it's the licenses are portable. You can swap them around for different cameras for real-time alerting. You can also import. So I can go here and say retrieve video, select my NVR that I'm going to import video from in the camera, and just give it a time period and it tells you import. Very quick and easy. You can do facial recognition. You can do license plate recognition. I mean, the sky's the limit with this stuff. Also, there's a built-in heat mapping. So I can grab a camera here Do hourly. Grab, let's do that one. Okay, and search. And we'll start doing heat mapping where it's seen objects the most often. Okay. And that's a built-in feature. The facial recognition. And then alert rules, you can create any type of alert rule you want. So there's different ones here. And you can run multiple analytics on the same camera feed. So again, very flexible. And I will hand it back to you.
Wonderful. That was a great overview of our newest offering, Video AI Analytics. Thank you, Dan. Just exciting to see how fast and responsive that is. Kind of fits with one of our differentiators on bandwidth management and just that really snappy experience. So now we're going to transition a little bit to talking about our highlights from our latest release. So this is from very end of last year. And so at a high level, we came out with CompleteView 7.4. And one of the highlight features there is bringing back recording server failover. And this is a feature that we had. We really took the time, though, in this release to make some pretty dramatic improvements to this, leveraging storage pools, which is kind of a powerful new improvement to our storage system that enables the predictive storage analytics. Chris alluded to this earlier when he said one of the differentiators of our platform really comes in that powerful administration and management experience, storage pools being a way to give people insight into retention policy, whether they're going to make it or not. And so we're able to leverage that technology in rebuilding a better, more performant failover. So we're going to take a look at that. We've also made a bunch of investments to make it easier for technology partners to work with us. And so these come obviously in the form of API improvements, but a lot of this is really about getting more data in and out of our platform so that you can have a more holistic and more complete security solution overall. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive in. We're going to first talk about recording server failover. To do this, I'm going to ask Chris to kind of come back in and talk to us a little bit about the feature and some of how it's different and enhanced in 7.4, given that this is something that we had in the past. So Chris, tell us a little bit about the new and improved recording server failover.
Yeah. So anyone that's familiar with Salient prior to version 7, and it was using failover, the mechanisms that we use for failover are largely the same. How we bring that into the interface is really what's taken on the most change. One of the most notable things is we actually are making the standby servers visible. So this gives them their own entity, so to speak, so you can do some management of those particular standby servers. Before, this was kind of buried in the UI. So that's a big improvement just for being able to more easily administer and see the status of all the different servers, whether it be a primary server or a standby server. The other thing that we've done is really leveraged, as Sanjay said, this notion of storage pools. So today, when you go set up failover, you'll connect your primary recording server into your management server, and then you'll connect your multiple different standby servers into that primary management server as well. When you go through configure these, you'll be able to go and associate any number of failover servers to a standby server, and you can have multiple standby servers throughout your system. When there is an event that happens or a failure happens on the primary, the management server will see this, and it will go to the first available failover server or standby server that is configured for that primary server. One of the things that you've got to do is make sure that they're both talking to the same shared storage pool. And when you're configuring that, you actually go and validate that the primary server and the standby server can access that. So when the failover occurs, the standby server will start writing the video as well as any events that occur to that shared storage pool. After your failover finishes, it actually will revert back to the primary recording server, and then the primary server will go and retrieve the events information from that storage pool. It leaves the video there, and it will be FIFO'd off as needed, but the events come back from the shared storage pool to the primary recording server. So that way, all the events that happen or that are related to that recording server reside there. That's another big improvement. Before we had the event data kind of strung between the management server and the primary recording server. So it made it the search for some of these events a little more tricky. So we've streamed that down a little bit. So it improves that failover.
And Chris, I think maybe one detail to punch a little harder is this shared storage that we set up, this storage pool that we set up. If I understand correctly, one of the key benefits is that, if I've got, a dozen primary recorders, becomes very easy for me to set up failover because I can set up one or two pools, these failover pools, and all I need to worry about is mapping my primary recorders to the storage pool. I don't need to go select the very specific standby server. Vice versa, for each of these standby servers I set up, I just need to also kind of associate which pool they support. And so that layer of abstraction makes it so that as you add or remove primary servers, recorders, or as you add or remove standby, you've got this concept of a pool that helps you abstract it so you're not having to mess around with config and go touch every recorder and say, we added this new standby, let me try to add it to it. It's either part of that pool or it's not. And so that becomes very scalable, if I understand, for our integrators and administrators.
That's correct. Yeah, that part of the whole configuration there. So yes, you are able to stand up a couple of different storage pools and then associate your primary to that storage pool, as well as your different standby servers. So yes, it makes it for a lot more scalable, and you're not having to go back and adjust as you add in new standby servers, or even really the only time that you're having to make the adjustment is anytime you add any new primary servers. You'll just go and connect it to a storage pool, and then make sure you have the right associations to the different standby servers you want to catch that.
Wonderful. Cool. And I think we've got a demonstration, so let's jump into that as well. Chris, I think you're going to be talking through this for us. So
right.
Here we go.
So in this video here, we've got a primary server. We've got it configured. This is configuration page for the primary. So it looks very similar, but we can see that we've got two different standby servers with a failover pool. When it fails over, you get an alert. We can see here that the primary is offline. And the standby is active. We can see that down below. When it restores from the failover, you get another alert. This alert comes up and will let anyone know that, hey, I've restored back. And also when you're failing over, so that way anyone that hasn't impacted by that view will know that they need to refresh their view. So if you're watching live view, you may have to refresh your view if those cameras are coming from that primary server that's affected, that went down. You also, while it's not shown here, there are events that you can go back through and you can look and see all the different states of from when the first failover happens through when it gets restored, and then all that synchronization of the data back into the primary server. So quick little way to watch what's going on with the failover system here.
Fantastic. That was so seamless. Had a little notification that you had a failure and you swapped to standby, and then quick little notification that you're back. That was pretty seamless. I know we didn't show the video side of this, but it's actually pretty seamless how we fail over and restore back. So thanks.
Yeah.
So with that, we're now going to talk about the other major highlight from our most recent release. And this has everything to do with enabling technology partners, really helping with deeper integrations. So Dan, give us a little bit of insight into some of these improvements.
Yeah, so with 7.4, we've improved how events are handled via our APIs. So we have a COM API and a REST API interface into CompleteView. And with 7.4, we've made it so that we've kind of decoupled getting events in. Prior to 7.4, you had to use the COM API to send events into CompleteView and give it events out. And it had to be tied to an alarm or motion event. So what we've done is decouple that. You can send us events via COM or REST now. We have REST endpoints for event injection into CompleteView, which is really awesome. I've been working on this for a while. It's my baby. Once the events get into CompleteView, then we can use them to trigger motion or alarm recording, do that automatic camera call up in alarm view, trigger actions such as slewing a PTZ to a preset. And that can include a description. So a 256 character payload, as we call it, and that's searchable within CompleteView in those events panes in live, playback, and the dashboard. So this is a screenshot from a partner that basically took about less than 3 weeks to come up with a integration based on our new API. And that should be available here very, very soon. It's from a company called Cyber Extruder. They do facial recognition, but they took that API and just turned it around immediately. Wonderful.
Wow.
So, and you can also get events out of CompleteView using either COM or REST. So this is really useful for third-party systems where they've done maybe a custom monitoring interface. They want to just get the events coming out of CompleteView, and then they go look at video later on. But they really want to get those events coming out of CompleteView. And now we have a REST endpoint to do that as well. And as part of the 7.4 release, we've also created a new SDK installer, and documentation includes Swagger documentation. So you can use it at swagger.io. So that's very cool, and you can get it right from that link.
Nice. Okay. Really exciting to hear the success story, Dan. I mean, we came out with this release end of, mid-December, late December, to have someone already, take some of these pieces and, effectively build an integration. That's remarkable turnaround time. It took them, 2-3 weeks tops. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there's more coming. So I've got several other partners that are in the works right now.
Wonderful. And again, a testament to some of that open platform, really being able to leverage best of breed technologies when choosing Salient. So those are the two biggest highlights from our most recent release. At this point, this is kind of the important content that we needed to get through. If you liked what you saw, you'd like to learn more, whether that's about our VMS, our cloud services, our analytics solution, or something that perhaps we haven't covered, you can absolutely get an even deeper dive and connect with a Salient expert, even schedule a one-on-one demo. And so we've got a link here, resources.salientsys.com/demo, that'll allow you to schedule one of these things. Also, I'll leave this up for a moment. We're going to now transition over to Q&A. And so I see a lot of stuff that has come in. I haven't been monitoring or moderating that well, so we'll start looking at this and kind of take these top to bottom. So I think one of the questions, maybe Dan, you can tackle this one. The video events. I guess this is for Video AI. They are in fact being handled by the server, not by the camera. That is a true statement. In fact, as Dan highlighted, you can use pretty much any camera or even video source when feeding into Video AI, whether that's analog cameras, whether that's just MP4 clips. It kind of doesn't really matter. If we can get the video or the camera feed, we can process it with Video AI. It does mean that the server hardware would need to be more powerful, yes. And in fact, as Dan mentioned, there is a tower PC form factor and also a rack mount server form factor for the hardware that enables Video AI.
Right. Also, it does need to be a separate server for the Video because it is Linux based.
Correct. Yep. And it also adds that level of kind of redundancy. You don't want to overload your recorder and risk, having something go wrong with just your ability to catch and record video with a system that's primarily concerned with extracting, object details and doing all this advanced processing. So it does make it more robust. I think there's a question on the rate of false positives that might be best to take offline and kind of answer separately. And also another question on are the licenses per camera feed or per kind of camera? I think the example given was if you have a 4-lens camera, how many licenses do you need? Assuming, again, this applies to the Video AI. I'll very briefly answer the CompleteView version of this. For CompleteView, we've simplified our licensing to one IP address is one license. So in this instance of if you have a camera with 4 lenses, so long as it presents one IP address, it's one license. Dan, do you want to tackle the question of a 4-lens camera and
yeah, so I actually already answered that in chat. So again,
great.
yep. So like you were saying, in CompleteView, a multi-sensor camera just requires one license. However, in Video, it is processing per stream. So that if you've got a quad sensor camera, that's going to be 4 streams coming out of that, and each one would require a Video license that you want to do the real-time analytics on.
Yep. Let's see. We've got, and I think it looks like you've answered this. It's funny, the interface, the following a red car, but maybe it's worth saying that out loud. Dan, even though I think you answered the.
So yeah, the question was being able to follow a red car through multiple cameras and kind of track that across multiple cameras. So there is a cross camera tracking option in Video, but at this time it's just for people.
Yep. All right. Let's see. I think we got a question on, hey, all these extras are great, but how do these function from servers with hundreds of cameras on them? I think, Dan, you touched on this a little bit by saying at least the analytics piece is going to be a separate server. So that helps a lot with the scalability. Separate from that, we've built this in a way where you can, kind of go from a few dozen cameras to tens of thousands of cameras. You kind of build this one brick, one server, one location at a time. And while it's centralized, a lot of this processing is happening as close to the edge as possible. So that, I think that's the simple answer to that.
Yeah. And it can be actually, depending on the network topology and how the facilities are laid out, you have the option of either distributing that processing across multiple servers in kind of an edge type of app situation, or you can bring those video feeds back to a central server.
Yeah,
so it's very flexible.
Full flexibility, correct. We have a question on failover licensing. And so the question is, do you need to have the same number of licenses as the server it is failing over from, or will it use the original server's licenses? Simply put, failover licenses are a thing. They're separate. And our recommendation is if a server is failing, then whatever standby is catching it needs to have the same or more licenses on it. And again, you can work with kind of our sales team on kind of how failover licenses are priced and managed. Very similar, but slightly different from a normal recording license. But the standbys are, for lack of better words, licensed, and there is a kind of a camera count that they can support. All right, what else do we have? Can a configuration from an old Salient server be imported into the new 7.4 version, or what is the oldest version that can be upgraded? Chris, do you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, we have supported different ways to get into 7.4. So depending on where you're at and where you're going, there's going to be various different paths to get you there. So we do have customers that are going from the process of upgrading from a 4.8 system to 7.4. Unfortunately, there's a few steps that you have to go through to do that. If you're going from, say, 6.1.3 to 7.4, the process is a little different. But yes, you can take and upgrade your existing system, whether it be one of the older ones, 4.8, or even a newer version, and upgrade that into 7.4. So it's just a matter of the journey. You can work with our SE teams to help make sure that we've got everything set up for you to get that to transition smoothly. But it is a pretty seamless process once you go through and do a little pre-planning on that.
Yeah, and there are a lot of tools that we've also, and utilities that we've put together to assist and aid in that process. And there's also a lot of work we've done in the last few releases on really trying to establish better client compatibility, so that as you're going through this journey, we understand that you can't switch all your servers overnight to a new version, and it's also untenable to kind of upgrade every single client overnight. So we've done a lot to think through, the journey that someone's going to take, and done our best. It's not perfect, but done our best to maintain as much business continuity as possible. So there's that as well. Let's see. I think there was another question on Video AI and kind of talking about putting it, on a blade center. The short answer is yes, it is possible to use your own hardware for Video AI. You're not forced to use a Salient provided hardware option. The only caveat I'll make is, given kind of the power of these analytics, there are some fairly specific requirements on, Intel processors and NVIDIA GPUs. But so long as you have hardware that meets the kind of specific kind of requirements or spec needed, you can use your own hardware, whatever that is. Let's see, Dan, maybe this is for you. For facial rec, how does it get its comparison database?
Yes, so that the database is you can import a database of faces and names, and or just enroll them one at a time. Now, the facial recognition for video can be used in multiple ways. If you're doing it for say access control, then you definitely want to have a database of known users. Likewise, if you're trying to identify bad actors, you'd want a database of those bad actors that you want to import there. In terms of the PII regulations, that varies, state by state, country by country. That's going to be, we give you the tools, but you need to, make sure that you're using them appropriately.
Yep. Fantastic. Let's see. We have a question on when will we have an updated Android client. Gosh, I'm realizing, one of the things we didn't really do is put a chart up on just what roadmap for the rest of this year looks like. And maybe next demo series, we'll kind of add that. But we'll have an updated Android client ready for market middle of this year. So we're working on a kind of end of Q2 release. And so this summer, we'll have a CompleteView 7.5. We'll have an updated Android client. So just hang in there for a couple of months. Let's see, are older camera licenses still usable on the new 7.4 version? Yes, I mean, as you go through your upgrade, you'll want to make sure you have a software maintenance agreement, or really some ability to kind of trade up or upgrade. But so long as these licenses are active, you have software maintenance, you're entitled to software upgrades. Whether you're coming from 4.8 or the version 6 or version 5, you shouldn't have an issue there. Okay. I think that seems to mostly be it for a lot of the Q&A. There may be a few things that we can handle offline. I think there's a question on, do we have plans for the Apple platform? We have an iOS client today. We also have a HTML5 web client, which we saw as part of the cloud services demo. One of the things that we're working on over the course of this year on our roadmap is some pretty major enhancements to our web client. So if you're using, a MacBook or something like that, a couple of options. Probably the easiest one is to use the web client. The other thing that is possible is Apple itself has made great strides in allowing cross-compatibility of App Store apps. That becomes another possible route. But for most people using, Apple laptops or kind of, not workstations, but for lack of better words, not mobile endpoints, the web client's the answer. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this series. I know we're giving you a few minutes back. Again, we'll have this recorded and available for you to watch or pass on to others to watch. And we'll follow up with the 2 lucky winners of the $100 gift card. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.